That morning, in the middle of a slum near Park Zonal Huayna San Juan de Miraflores, Lima, Peru, the atmosphere was tense. Officers from Grupo Terna, disguised as construction workers, were conducting a raid on a group of individuals suspected of being involved in drug trafficking.
Al suelo. ¿Qué es esto? ¿Ah? ¿Qué es esto? Se está encontrando una bolsa de polietileno y en el interior se le está encontrando monedas, platas, billetes, ya.
Yo no vendo, solamente me han dado para yo agarrar la plata.
¿Ah? ¿Quién te ha dado para agarrar la plata?
Corey, shouted an agent. The sound of footsteps could be heard on the dusty ground as the suspects tried to escape. But the attempt was in vain. Al suelo, shouted another officer, ordering them to the ground. When one of the suspects was searched, a small plastic bag was found inside his clothes. ¿Qué es esto?" asked the officer in a loud voice. The bag contained several coins, several banknotes, and a substance suspected of being narcotics.
¿Con esa cantidad? ¿Qué es esto? Dime, pues. Al parecer, pasta básica de cocaína. Tráelo del río, tráelo, tráelo. ¿Dónde te recoges?
Ahí afuera, ahí
Llamando. Ahí donde
no, bolsa negra.
Fácil, pues.
Abre la bolsa,
¿Y esto? Mira, ahí ve. ¿Y eso? ¿También?
Yo no vendo.
Abre uno.
Yo me recurseo, me vine allá afuera.
Una sustancia purulenta, al parecer PVC. Nombre completo fuerte y claro. Nacionalidad venezolana.
A me solo me han dado la plata, the men protested in fear. "What do you think of me? What is the brand?" the police demanded. Despite his attempts to deny it, the pressure of the questioning forced him to give in. Yes, we are ... double quotes, he said, shaking, as he was led to show the location of the other items. The man, who said he had been in the area since 5:30 am, could no longer deny his involvement. "All of you were there," he admitted, before finally revealing that the items he was carrying were narcotics, apparently PBC basic coke apple paste.
¿Cuántos años tienes? ¿Natural de dónde eres? ¿A qué se dedica? Reciclador. ¿Qué compró minutos antes? Vamos a verificar en el interior del envoltorio de papel periódico sustancia ilícita, al parecer PVC.
When asked to identify himself, he stuttered, "Mina Rodriguez." The police pressed him, pressing for other names. "What did you sell the drug?" The pressure forced him to name another name, Johnny Carlos Tenorio Marco, a 45-year-old man from Lima who claims to be a scavenger. In a further search, officers found illegal substances wrapped in newspaper. Several others were identified as part of the network, a man nicknamed Sentimiento, who was known for crying when caught. "¿Por qué te dicen sentimiento?" the officers asked. "Por loro mucho," he replied softly, his eyes moist.
¿Sabe lo que usted está haciendo? ¿Cómo te dicen a ti?
Sentimiento, señor.
¿Por qué te dicen sentimiento?
Porque mucho llora tengo.
Mucho llora, ya no llores ya. Ya no estés vendiendo, pero ya no estés vendiendo droga, ya que sea la última vez. ¿Natural de dónde es usted, señor? Venezolano. ¿Por qué razón el grupo Terna lo ha intervenido a usted?
Estaba vendiendo droga.
Estaba vendiendo droga. ¿A cuánto vende cada paquete, señor? A $1. ¿Por qué razón el grupo Tentu?
Meanwhile, another man, a Venezuelan national, confessed his involvement. He acted as a lookout, signaling to the sellers when the police were around. "Mi funcionero alerter," he admitted helplessly. The suspects could no longer deny the evidence. They were arrested for being involved in selling drugs in a public area, turning a park that should have been a place of recreation into a den of crime. One by one they were led to police vehicles, while in the background, piles of garbage, the remains of old equipment, and flying dust illustrated the degradation of the place. The operation ended with 5 people arrested, drugs seized, and a black spot on the city's crime map removed, at least temporarily.
Momen, momento em que eles atingem o rapaz com uma arma de choque, arma não letal. O policial atingiu.
Arrest in Barocatitos. On a hot Friday afternoon in Barocatitos, Sudoeste Minero, the calm atmosphere has turned tense with the massive mobilization of the military police. Carlau, a journalist from Jornal Jogo Serio, stands on the side of the road with his camera, preparing to report on the events taking place. Before his eyes, the police are busy preparing equipment to deal with a man trapped on the roof of a house.
Aí vai enxergando guardas civis municipais para reforçar agora. Reforçar o trabalho aqui dos policiais.
The man is a fugitive who was initially involved in violating the Maria da Penha law, which regulates the protection of women from domestic violence. However, the situation has now worsened, as the man has fled and is hiding on the roof, forcing the police to deploy a large number of personnel to surround the area.
Ele me parece que vai descer. Parou. Ô, Gabriel, desce aqui, ó. Ô, desce a escada pra você, irmão. Pode pôr a escada aí.
Friend, come down. We don't want to see you hurt. One of the officers shouts from below the roof, trying to convince the man on top. However, the man seems trapped in fear and anxiety, finding it difficult to make a decision. Around the location, residents are starting to come out of their homes, witnessing the increasingly tense situation. Most of them were terrified, with some residents even hiding inside their homes. Carlau, with his field experience, kept his camera on, while reminding the man to surrender. Don't put your life and others at risk, come down calmly, Carlau said, hoping the man would listen.
Cara, você vai machucar, desce aqui, ó, você não vai machucar. Desce aqui na grama aqui, ó. Vem pra cá, desce aqui,
Mais viaturas, mais pessoas aqui, ó, mobilizadas aqui. Nós vamos mostrando para vocês aqui. As pessoas vão parando aqui agora.
However, the man seemed increasingly panicked and began moving towards the other side of the roof, trying to find a way out. The police quickly responded, deploying more officers to surround the area, ensuring there was no way for the man to escape. Come down, there's nowhere to run, don't make things worse, an officer shouted over the loudspeaker.
Momento em que eles atingem o rapaz com uma arma de choque, arma não letal. O policial atingiu.
Carlau continued to try to talk to the man, hoping to sway his mind. We're here to help. If you surrender now, everything will go smoothly. This is your best chance, he said, trying to calm the tension. Residents who had gathered around the scene also began to provide moral support, although fear was still clearly visible on their faces.
Exitosa no esporte, no mercado de trabalho, na política, em todas as áreas. Mas, infelizmente, não é isso que a gente está vendo agora. Policiais militares e guardas civis municipais exitosos nessa ação, que com certeza resultaria no prejuízo para o rapaz que, infelizmente, resistiu.
After several tense minutes, the man finally fell from the roof. Immediately, officers moved quickly to restrain him. One of the police officers used an electric gun to incapacitate the man, preventing further harm. The man's body fell to the ground, and in an instant, the police had secured him. Although the arrest went smoothly without any fatalities, Carlau felt sad. This is a sad tragedy. We see a young man who may have had better potential, but got caught up in dangerous trouble, said Carlau.
Foi no teu telhado? É o mesmo?
Ah, tá bom. Não. Se descer errado ali, tem 30 que não é não. Você tenta fazer isso. Tá entendendo? Quer falar de novo? Então levanta sozinho e pede o estado ali. Se virar pro outro lado, já sabe.
Ah, mas a gente sabia que se ele resistisse ia acontecer isso.
This situation reminds us that every crime or violation of the law does not only affect the perpetrator, but also the community around him. The police, even though they have to use force to solve the problem, still try to avoid greater damage. However, on the other hand, this incident remains a reminder that we must work hard to prevent the younger generation from falling into actions that harm themselves and others.
Segura na escada. Pode segurar na escada. Segura na escada. Segura na escada. Você não tá com a mão pra frente? Segura. Se você cair pra trás, a culpa é tua. Vai, segura aí. Não, bora. Não precisa pegar não. Tirar no tal. Pode deixar. Ficou. Não, tá aqui. Aí o cara que é o autor da Maria tá lá dentro, não, mandou ele pedir cobrar a mãe dela. Vambora. E Micael, olha, se tu sair dessa casa e dá outra ali que quebrou o telhado, eu vou colocar na outra dele lá.
What are you looking for? I'm looking for my sunglasses because I have my flashes on here too. But
There's some slides right here.
no, it's because there's
The night air was thick with tension and the bitter scent of burnt rubber as the flashing red and blue lights illuminated the damaged vehicle resting askew near the curb. The front bumper hung partially detached, the front wheel visibly bent inward, and shattered glass littered the street. A young woman stood nearby, her body swaying gently as if guided by invisible tides. Her name was Melissa, and just moments earlier, she had been behind the wheel of that wrecked car. An officer approached her calmly but with deliberate caution. "All right," he said, "let's just start with some simple instructions, okay?" Melissa, dressed in sandals and visibly disoriented, nodded and tried to keep her balance. Touching heel to toe, she asked uncertainly, trying to line up her feet but wobbling. "Stay like that," her voice slurred slightly, her tone flickering between confusion and compliance. "Yes, stay like that," the officer instructed. "Don't start until I tell you. I'm going to demonstrate first, then I'll ask you to begin." Despite multiple reminders to maintain her position, Melissa kept shifting and moving, her concentration broken every few seconds. She talked about her sandals, the slide of the ground, and how her heels were uneven. The officer listened patiently, redirecting her each time. They tried to begin the standardized field sobriety tests. First, the horizontal gaze nystagmus. "Keep your head still," the officer said. "Just follow with your eyes." Melissa struggled to focus, her eyes darting and blinking as if attempting to stay anchored in reality. She nodded, then murmured, I'm okay," more to herself than to anyone else. The next test was the walk and turn. The officer carefully demonstrated how to place the left foot on a line, put the right foot directly in front, heel to toe, and keep arms at her side. "When I tell you to start, not now," he said. "You'll take 9 heel-to-toe steps, count out loud, then do a small series of steps to turn around, and take 9 more back." Melissa nodded, eyes glazed, and began prematurely before being corrected. She stepped off the line, lost her balance, and talked over the instructions. 1, 2, 3, she mumbled, then turned the wrong way, faltered, and looked around nervously. Then came the one-leg stand. The officer showed her how to lift 1 foot 6 inches off the ground, arms at her sides, and count aloud. Melissa, shivering slightly, struggled to remain upright. 1001, 1006, she slurred, her count jumping erratically as she swayed and lowered her foot repeatedly. The officer let her try for a few moments before stopping the test. By now, Melissa's demeanor was oscillating between apologetic and distracted. She talked about her flight scheduled for tomorrow, her sister's birthday, and needing to catch a plane at 4 p.m. "You should see the judge this afternoon," the officer told her gently. "But I can't guarantee you'll make your flight." As officers searched the vehicle, they found her wallet and personal belongings scattered. The officer noted, "There's a wallet in the passenger seat," and confirmed that her ID matched the information provided. Another officer mentioned needing a witness signature as they completed paperwork. At one point, Melissa tried to call someone. "My friend, the one I just dropped off," she explained, clutching her phone. Officers instructed her to hang up and focus on the investigation. She resisted slightly, mumbling, "I'll call later," then dropped the phone reluctantly. The breathalyzer test was next, but due to the crash, the protocol required medical clearance before processing. "Since you were in an accident, we need to take you to the hospital to make sure you're medically cleared," the officer explained. Melissa appeared dazed but nodded. Later, in the booking area, she was asked to open her mouth and lift her tongue. She complied, cooperating in a tired, almost defeated manner. "This is my first one," she said softly. Her voice broke slightly as she mentioned her father, and how ashamed he would be. "He's in law enforcement," she whispered, "he's gonna kill me." While she waited to be transported to the hospital, officers chatted quietly. One noted that she seemed possessed at one point, rising up and collapsing, mumbling things incoherently during the field test. Another remarked, "She's lucky she didn't get more hurt." A tone of concern laced their casual remarks. Behind the procedural routine, there was still human empathy. Outside, Melissa's friend, who had been dropped off earlier, recounted his version of events to an officer. "She was insisting on driving herself home," he said. "I tried to get her to stay at my place, but she said no. I even offered to go with her, but she didn't want that either." He admitted they had gone to a bar and then to an afterparty before she decided to leave alone. The damage to the car was substantial. Front bumpers gone, wheel bent, windshield cracked, he described. "She hit a tree, I think." The officer sighed, nodding. It was a familiar story in this line of work. Young people pushing their limits, alcohol clouding judgment, and consequences crashing down before they could react. Inside the medical facility, the attending staff confirmed she was medically fit for confinement. Clear for confinement, they stated plainly. Melissa, now quiet and nearly dozing off in a wheelchair, was wheeled out and loaded back into the patrol vehicle. One officer looked at her and muttered, "She's gonna wake up and feel silly." Another shook his head. "She wanted to be a heart surgeon. Said she was studying cardiothoracics. Hope this doesn't throw her off track." As they prepared to transport her to jail, officers wrapped up their paperwork and organized her belongings. Her purse would be left at the station, and her backpack was retrieved from the tow yard since the detention center wouldn't accept extra personal items. They made arrangements so that if she was released in time, she could still collect her things and possibly make her flight, though everyone knew the odds were slim. Outside, another accident was being reported. Dispatch crackled over the radio. White SUV hit a light pole, 3 occupants, unknown injuries. One officer glanced at the report and said, "Another one, that's the third tonight." As the night dragged on and the city rested uneasily under the watch of law enforcement, Melissa's story became one more case number in the system, a night of poor choices, illuminated in the harsh glow of headlights and flashing lights, echoing through the corridors of responsibility, regret, and consequence.
because of her, y'all gotta see me.
Put your other hand behind your back.
For what?
We're not playing this game.
Yeah, but for why though? I was sexually
She's got
assaulted
very,
at the
skinny
bar.
wrists.
For why?
So my handcuffs fell off.
For what? For why? Just tell me why. Just tell me why. Just tell me why. Why?
Wait in a second.
For why? For what, dude? Really? For why? For why? For why?
On July 9, 2024, at approximately 2:34 a.m., law enforcement officers were dispatched in response to a reported disturbance outside a local bar. Body-worn camera footage captured the interaction between police and a 35-year-old woman who alleged that she had been assaulted by a bartender and his girlfriend while attempting to break up an altercation involving a customer. Upon arrival, officers located the woman near the premises. She appeared agitated and emotionally distraught, repeatedly asserting that she had been sexually harassed and physically attacked.
Get your hands off people, okay?
Excuse me.
No, you don't excuse me, okay?
You're not.
Back up, alright? Don't get up in my face, alright?
No. I am fed up, sir. I'm a woman.
This is who you're talking.
When officers attempted to engage with her to assess the situation, the woman responded with confrontational language and repeatedly interrupted the officers, stating emphatically, "Do not put your expletive hands on me." An officer informed her that the establishment had requested she be trespassed due to her aggressive behavior and alleged physical contact.
Would you like a trespass warning or a trespass? Okay.
Oh, a trespass. Really?
Hey, why are you getting up in this man's face? Do you want to go to jail? Because you're pressing your limits. Do you have a ride home?
I do.
The woman immediately disputed the claim and refused to accept the reasoning, questioning, trespassed from the bar. Why? Physical aggression. She continued to insist that her actions were defensive and that she was intervening in a separate conflict involving other individuals.
Why would I
Because you're being trespassed from the bar.
trespass from the bar? Why? What did I do?
Physical aggression.
Aggression.
Yeah, it's all on camera.
What?
Someone grab it tomorrow.
What did I do to you?
I got it. If I
Physically assault you.
face, put your hands on me.
For what
being
reason?
disrespectful.
Oh, disrespectful.
During the conversation, she was asked if she had a ride home, to which she replied affirmatively. However, her refusal to leave the premises peacefully and escalating verbal resistance led the officers to move toward detaining her. As officers attempted to place her in handcuffs, she resisted. She clutched her purse tightly and repeatedly yelled, "For why?" and "Tell me why," expressing confusion and frustration about the arrest. Officers made multiple verbal attempts to calm her down and asked her to release her purse and comply with orders.
Do you want her standing this close? Okay. Over here. Over here.
For
Do you
what?
have your ID? Ma'am, do you have your ID?
For why?
I don't have to answer you, Susanna.
I am
What's her
a
name?
fucking manager around these parts, motherfucker. Do not test me. Do not test me. Look at you, big strong man.
Put your hand behind your back.
Putting my...
Despite these efforts, she continued to physically resist and used expletives toward the officers. The situation further escalated when she began screaming and pulling away, making the physical restraint more difficult. Officers cautioned her to stop resisting and informed her she was being detained. Despite those commands, she maintained her resistance, questioning the legitimacy of the detention and repeatedly yelling, "For why?" and "Tell me why." At one point, the woman became so physically uncooperative that the officer's handcuffs were reportedly dislodged during the struggle. Eventually, officers succeeded in placing her in handcuffs. She continued to protest loudly while being escorted to the patrol vehicle, using expletives and shouting that officers were garbage, and accusing them of violating her rights.
Fuck you. Fuck you. For why?
I got it right here.
No. For why? For why? For why?
You got yours?
Yeah, go ahead and tell me for why.
Once inside the vehicle, she persisted with verbal outbursts, demanding to be told the reason for her arrest and berating the officers. Despite continued attempts by officers to manage the situation verbally, she showed no signs of calming down.
For why? For why?
Put your other hand behind your back.
For why?
We're not playing this game.
Yeah, but for why though? I was sexually
She's got
assaulted
very,
at the
skinny
bar.
wrists.
For why?
So my handcuffs fell off.
For why? For why? Tell me why. Just tell me why. Just tell me why. Why?
Wait in a second.
For why? For why, dude? Really? For why? For why? For why?
She was ultimately charged with resisting an officer. The arrest was documented by body-worn camera footage, which captured both the verbal exchanges and the physical resistance during the incident. Officers stated that the body cam footage, alongside statements from bar personnel, would be reviewed in full as part of the official report.
Tell me why. Why? No. Tell me why. Tell me why. Tell me why. No. You can tell. You can fucking tell me why. Tell me why. Behavior? What behavior? Put your foot down. Excuse me. Explain. No, no, no. Explain why. Why? 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 No, 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 no! You don't know how fucking stupid you are, bitch. Why? Why? Why?
Alright, just shut the door.
Why? Why? Why?
Stop.
Why? Sit down. Why? Tell me why. Tell me why.
Shut the door.
Come on.
You're failing just to make.
Stop.
No, it's not fucking really. That was possible causing wrong.
Hold on.
No.
I will break your goddamn arm. You better fucking relax.
Yeah, I want to break it.
I got cuffs.
No.
Drunk man arrested at Taco Bell, the real chronology of a police intervention. On February 13, 2023, around 2:43 a.m., police received a report of a man appearing to be asleep inside a vehicle parked at Taco Bell. Responding officers arrived on scene and found an adult male sitting in the driver's seat with the car door open and the interior lights on.
Yeah.
And you're driving.
From the obtained body cam footage, the situation quickly escalated into a tense arrest resulting in multiple serious criminal charges. Upon arrival, an officer calmly approached the man. "How's it going, man? What you doing up here?" The man replied slowly, appearing confused, mentioning something about sitting near the vehicle's center console.
Where you guys headed to now?
I'm trying to get something.
Not a big deal. Just take my name and date of birth. Are you the registered owner of the vehicle, man? You are?
I am.
Okay. All right. What's your first name, boss man?
417.
No, what's your name?
The officer then noticed an open beer can inside the vehicle. Center console, beer. "Have you been drinking tonight?" With a sluggish and honest tone, the man replied, "Yeah." When asked if he had been driving, he denied it, stating he wasn't drunk enough. The officer continued with questions about how much he had drunk. "How many have you had tonight?" 2. He replied, identifying Bud Light as the beverage, while pointing to a can in the vehicle's cup holder.
I won't jump, skip anything, but I will give y'all a proper her that she can drive very well.
Okay. Alright. You wanna turn around and put your hands behind your back?
Why?
Dude, stop.
Dude, no.
Put your hands behind your back.
I ain't causing no.
Put your hands behind your back.
Look. Let me grab that.
Come on. Your belly just a minute. Stop.
No, it's not fucking traveling. Y'all talking causing wrong.
Hold on, sir.
No.
I will break your goddamn arm. You better fucking relax.
Yeah, want to break it.
The officer, now suspecting the man to be under the influence of alcohol, asked for identification. You got an ID on you, my man. The man identified himself as Jerry and claimed to be the registered owner of the vehicle.
Break my arm, bitch, and I will shoot your goddamn ass. There's no suing. I'm trying to tell you.
I'm gonna fucking break you.
Fucking going to break my arm.
I'm going to if you don't fucking relax.
Put that on the card.
When asked to perform field sobriety exercises, he refused. Are you willing to do a field sobriety exercise for me? No, I can skip, and skip. The officer remained composed and instructed Jerry to step out of the vehicle. Jerry offered that his female passenger could drive instead, but the officer proceeded with lawful procedures, instructing him to step out and place his hands behind his back. At this point, Jerry began to resist both physically and verbally. No, put your hands behind your back. I ain't. See, put your hands behind your back. As officers tried to restrain him, Jerry became combative, shouting profanities, threatening them, and attempting to evade arrest.
My cash is in my pocket.
Hold it can you hold it a second while I grab the...
Here, push on it, bitch. You're pushing on my head when I'm handcuffed.
You got right in.
I ain't. Because you think I'm a badass mother. Here, empty my pocket.
That's what I'm doing, don't worry.
I will break your goddamn arm. An officer warned as Jerry continued to resist. Jerry screamed repeatedly, insisting on his innocence. I didn't do nothing. F wrong. Officers then listed the violations Jerry had committed, including driving with a suspended or revoked license, driving under the influence of alcohol (DUI), possession of an open alcohol container in a vehicle, refusing to perform a field sobriety test, resisting arrest. Jerry was ordered to walk toward the patrol car but continued arguing and pleading.
Motherfucker! Push me down! Oh!
We're not gonna play these goddamn games, do you understand me?
Hell yeah! Come on! Woo! I'm fucking. Come on! I'm fucking it. Push my head down on the concrete. Woo! Well, come on! Take it! Come on! Y'all like shitty motherfuckers. Sir, get you comeback pearl and comeback suit. You bitch-ass motherfucker.
Let me empty out my pocket. I got cash in my pocket for my wife. When asked to spread his legs for a search, Jerry refused again and kept trying to control the situation. No, my cash is in my pocket, hold on. Right, 'cause you think I'm a badass mother. After being searched, Jerry's behavior became increasingly erratic. He yelled, refused proper cuffing, and began kicking from inside the patrol car. Officers noted that he might receive additional charges for his actions inside the vehicle. Meanwhile, the female passenger, later confirmed to be his wife, was crying and visibly distressed.
Sorry. I had his keys. I did have 2 drinks, but I'm good to drive, I swear. I'm being honest. I did have 2 drinks.
So, based on your emotional state right now?
An officer tried to calm her. I don't want you holding your hands up like you're afraid of us right now, he said, recognizing her emotional state. She revealed that they had recently been evicted and that she now had to face everything alone. You just got evicted and everything. It has nothing to do with y'all. The officer reassured her and encouraged her to stay calm and away from Jerry's worsening situation. She added that Jerry had told her, I'm going to go to jail, huh? I love you. Inside the patrol car, Jerry continued kicking in. Tried to break the window, despite being handcuffed. Officers began preparing additional restraints, stating that his behavior could lead to more charges.
Hands up is like you're afraid of us right now, and I don't want that. And your emotional state everything that's going on, and I'm just trying to get you to calm down and just relax for a second, okay?
Okay.
That's what I want.
Okay.
Just for you to just take a minute and breathe.
He's gonna break the glass like he always does.
I hear him kicking around.
Yeah,
He's going to end up getting another charge tied in the back of the vehicle. Jerry yelled loudly from inside the patrol car, "I didn't do no wrong. I'm trying to get food at midnight." He admitted to drinking 2 beers at a bar and just wanted to get food at Taco Bell, which turned out to be closed. "They're closed, they're closed," he shouted in frustration, but the officers had reached their limit. One officer firmly said, "It's way past that. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't do nothing wrong." According to the arrest report, Jerry was ultimately charged with multiple legal violations, including
Listen to me.
No, sir, I'm not.
Listen to me. What you're doing is fixing to get you completely restrained back here.
I'm completely strange out.
No,
I'm
you're
doing me on
not. We
the
can
ground.
hear you banging
Yeah,
around
no.
in the back of this car. Do you
Let me go
understand?
home. I didn't do no wrong. It's trying to get food.
probation violation, battery on a law enforcement officer, resisting arrest, traffic violation, driving under the influence DUI. His total cash bond was set at $44,000, a significant amount reflecting the seriousness of his actions that night. Note: this case illustrates how impulsive decisions made under the influence can lead to serious legal consequences.
Right here with the keys.
I was trying to get some food.
Yes. They're closed.
They're closed.
You can tell
Just to hold me close.
I'm
I come around.
Where am I?
Let, I didn't.
No. I'm not arguing with you.
No, I want you to please argue with me. I'm sorry.
Argue with you?
Yeah.
Refusing legal procedures, resisting officers, and displaying non-cooperative behavior during an investigation only worsened Jerry's situation. What began as a late-night food run turned into a night of arrest, criminal charges, and emotional downfall, both for Jerry and his spouse.
Bar.
Battery on leave at number 2.
Twice.
Y'all should make me have to leave the hospital and all fucking like.
Yeah. Well, there's felony practice stat number 2.
Yep.
That's a good practice stat. Fuck yeah.
Jerry was charged with a probation violation, battery on an
I'm
officer.
sorry, I don't understand English. What is the definition of battery, please?
The rain was steady, tapping out a rhythmic beat on the windshield as Mary Langston pulled into the visitor parking lot of the Centerville Police Department. Her hands were tight on the steering wheel, her knuckles white, not from fear but from frustration. She had waited too long already. Long enough to rehearse what she would say, long enough for the fury to boil over into trembling fingers. Inside the lobby, fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, cold and unwelcoming. Mary, clad in jeans and a black jacket soaked from the walk across the parking lot, approached the front desk. A plexiglass divider separated her from the officer on duty. "I need to speak to someone. I need to file a report," she said firmly. Officer Klein looked up from his monitor, blinking at the sight of her. "Ma'am, may I ask what the report is about?" Mary exhaled sharply. "My ex-husband has been stalking me. He left notes on my door. I have pictures. No one's done a damn thing. I need to talk to someone now." There was a moment of hesitation. Klein gave a brief nod and motioned to the phone on the side wall. "Pick up that phone, and I'll patch you through to dispatch. Someone can assist you further." Mary stared at him. "You can't just take a report. I'm not the officer assigned to these cases, ma'am." "Protocol," Klein said, voice neutral. Mary picked up the receiver reluctantly. Her hand shook as she gave her name and repeated her concern. When she hung up, she paced in the lobby. Every minute that passed only fed the storm brewing in her chest. After 10 minutes, an interior door buzzed open. Officer Delgado, tall, composed, stepped into the lobby. "Ms. Langston, come with me," he said. Mary followed, her boots squeaking on the tile floor. She was led to a small room, an interview room, where a chair and table sat under harsh overhead lighting. She sat, dumped a manila folder of printed photos and screenshots onto the table, and started explaining. Delgado listened, flipping through the materials. "We'll review all of this. But just so you're aware, a report was already filed last month. There's an active protective order." Mary slammed her hand on the table. "And it hasn't done a damn thing. He's still showing up. I need real action. I came here to get help. and all you're doing is reading paper. Delgado stayed calm. Ma'am, I understand you're upset. But we can't arrest him unless he violates. He is violating it, she shouted. Why won't anyone believe me? Delgado raised a hand. Please calm down. Let's not escalate. But Mary was already standing. Escalate? I'll tell you what's escalated. Me being hunted while you people do nothing. Her voice echoed off the sterile walls. Delgado stood as well, now visibly more alert. Ms. Langston, I'm asking you to calm down. If you continue shouting, I'll have to ask you to leave the premises. Mary's eyes were wild with disbelief. You're throwing me out. Are you serious? She stepped forward, pointing a finger in his face. Delgado backed up slightly. When he tried to step past her to open the door and to escalate, Mary shoved him with both hands. Get your damn hands off me, she cried. In a split second, the room's energy shifted. Delgado reached for his radio and called for backup. I've got an aggressive civilian in interview room B, requesting assistance. Mary was already pacing like a caged animal. When Officer Green entered moments later, things unraveled quickly. Ma'am, you need to come with me now, Green said, calm but authoritative. No, I came here for help, not to be treated like a criminal, she shouted. When Green reached for her arm, Mary pulled away violently. Don't touch me. Delgado moved in from the other side. Ma'am, you've assaulted an officer. You are now under arrest. Put your hands behind your back. Mary's breath hitched. You can't do this. We can, and we are, Green replied. Don't resist. She didn't listen. As Green reached for her wrists, she spun, trying to jerk away. The officers had to physically subdue her, forcing her down to the table. Let me go. I didn't do anything wrong. You're arresting the wrong damn person. Green snapped the cuffs on. You are being placed under arrest for assaulting a police officer and resisting arrest. Her cries echoed again. I came here for help.
My dad has an issue. I just want to go home. I don't want to be in. Okay, we got the paramedics coming. So we're gonna wait for that.
The cold bite of metal around her wrist stunned Mary more than the force used to restrain her. She had always imagined the police station as a place of justice, of safety. Now it felt like a trap, a place where victims became offenders with the stroke of a pen and the weight of misinterpretation. As Green and Delgado led her out of the interview room, she shouted at every officer they passed. You're all cowards. You're letting a man terrorize me and now you're arresting me. Her voice cracked, but it didn't falter. She dug her heels into the tiled floor, forcing the officers to drag her toward the holding area. Behind the booking desk stood Officer Martinez, who glanced up as they approached. What's going on? Assault?
They said you backed into a tree.
You're looking at it, so.
Okay, so did you back into a tree?
A night to remember. The Florida night sky hung dark and quiet, starless above the quiet parking lot. Orange streetlights cast long shadows, occasionally interrupted by the flickering red and blue of a patrol car's lights. A young woman stood nervously in front of the cruiser, her eyes glassy and her stance uncertain. Her name hadn't been mentioned yet, but the story in her expression was already unfolding: uncertainty, anxiety, and a fading trace of alcohol. They said you backed into a tree, the officer said, her voice calm but firm. You see it, right? The woman blinked slowly, looking at the battered tree with its bark peeled off. I didn't. I was just trying to go home. The officer tilted her head slightly. So the damage to your car didn't come from this tree? The woman didn't answer directly. I'm just trying to get home. A chunk of bark lodged into her rear bumper told a different story. The officer sighed and stepped closer. Can I see your ID, please? The woman fumbled in her purse. Yeah, of course. I'm sorry. It's okay, the officer replied gently. She took the ID and glanced it over. There are some concerns that you might be under the influence. Have you had anything to drink tonight? The woman nodded, reluctantly. Yeah, I have. How much did you drink? Probably 2 drinks. At what time? What time is it now? 10 o'clock. Then maybe 8. The officer excused herself and walked over to speak with a witness nearby. A man stood a few feet away, holding a cigarette, his demeanor relaxed but attentive. You saw her hit the tree? Yeah, she was parked here for a few minutes. I looked away and heard a loud bump. When I turned back, she backed right into the tree. There's still wood stuck in her bumper. And I asked her to move forward, she did. She was behind the wheel. If I arrest her for DUI, would you be willing to testify in court that she was the driver? Yes, sir. No problem. The officer returned to the woman, now standing with her arms crossed tightly. Ma'am, I have a witness who saw you driving and striking the tree. So before I can let you go, I need to make sure you're okay to drive. Fair enough. She nodded. Yeah, okay. Come over to the front of my vehicle. She followed slowly, shoes scuffing on the asphalt. The officer retrieved a flashlight and began the field sobriety test. I'm going to shine this above your eyes. Keep your head still and follow the light only with your eyes. Understand? The woman tried her best. Her movements were sluggish, her head tilted slightly even though she was instructed not to move it. The officer gently corrected her several times. Don't move your head, ma'am. After the eye test, the officer continued. Now we'll do a balance test, called a one-leg stand. You'll raise one leg about 6 inches off the ground and count out loud, 1001, 1002, until I tell you to stop. The woman looked at the ground, unsure. This doesn't feel like level ground. Would you like to move to a better spot? I don't know. This is fine, I guess. She attempted to follow instructions but kept hesitating. That sounds really hard, she admitted. Even my daughter can't do that. You just need to try. It's meant to test your balance. The woman sighed. I don't think I can do that. Okay, then we'll try something else, the finger-to-nose test. Again, the woman was asked to stand straight, feet together, arms at her sides. The officer explained the instructions. Close your eyes, tilt your head back, and touch your nose with your index finger when prompted, left or right. She tried to comply, her fingers fumbling slightly with each command, left, right, left, right. After the final test, the officer let her relax. Okay, I'm going to read you your Miranda rights. You're not under arrest right now, but I have to do this before asking further questions. The woman nodded, barely audibly. Sure. The officer read the rights slowly and clearly. With those rights in mind, do you want to answer my questions? The woman hesitated. That feels like a trick question. It's yes or no. Can I ask about my car? Let's not worry about that now. Do you want to answer questions, yes or no? I just want to go home and sleep, she murmured. The officer took a step back. At this time, you are being placed under arrest for DUI. You are clearly under the influence. As the cuffs were tightened gently around her wrists, the woman's shoulders dropped. Her head dipped toward her chest as she whispered, I didn't think my night would end like this. The patrol car's lights spun silently into the night. The broken tree stood still, quiet, bearing witness to yet another moment where consequences met circumstance, and a single choice unraveled a quiet night into something unforgettable.
To lift. As such, you're going to lift your foot, point it straight out, and you're going to count out loud for me. You're going to be able to pick, so it's whichever one you're more comfortable with. And when you pick it up and you hold it, it's going to be about 6 inches off the ground, or about the size of a Coke can.
Okay.
Go back to your starting position for me with your feet together. All the way together. They have to be touching.
I don't even do this even in gymnastics. Okay.
Your feet have to be all the way together, okay?
Okay.
They're still not all the way together. They have to be touching. Your feet have to be touching now.
I don't
There you go. Now you got it.
Gymnastics. Okay.
Okay. So hold that position for me. So you'll lift your foot about 6 inches off the ground or the size of a Coke can. You'll hold that until I tell you to stop.
On November 2, 2022, at approximately 12 noon, a patrol officer was passing through a quiet residential area when he noticed two women walking along the side of the road. The two appeared calm and unsuspecting from a distance, but one of them immediately caught the officer's attention. The officer recognized one of the women as someone who likely had an active warrant for his arrest on a felony charge. Intending to verify their identities, the officer stopped his squad car and got out to approach the two women. "No, I did not, sir. Have I done something wrong?" asked one of the women, later identified as Leo. Her demeanor quickly turned defensive when the officer stated that he believed there was a warrant for her arrest. The officer asked her name, but Leo was reluctant to answer directly. "Did I do something wrong?" she repeated, her tone filled with confusion but also suspicion. "I believe you have a warrant for your arrest," the officer replied calmly. "Tell me your name, and I'll check it out." Leo finally answered, "My name is Victoria." The officer immediately denied. "You are not Victoria. I know Victoria."
Street is Pine Street. That's my dad's.
Okay. Tell me your name, because you're not Victoria Deneg.
Have I done something wrong?
Go ahead.
Have I done something wrong, sir?
I believe this is Alexandra.
No, sir. That's not.
If she won't give me your right name, she already gave me a fake name.
Leo persisted, refusing to give his real identity. The officer, who was familiar with the names of the locals, knew that Leo was giving a fake name. Requests for his real name or date of birth were met with Leo repeating, "Did I do something wrong, sir?" Tensions rose. Leo claimed that he lived down the street, Pine Street. He said where his father lived, but none of that was enough to convince the officer, who knew full well that the woman in front of him was trying to cover up her identity. "I believe this is Leo," the officer radioed to his partner. Noting that the woman had given a fake name, he asked Leo to come back. "Can you show me your ID?" the officer asked, but Leo said he didn't have it with him. "Then tell me your date of birth." "Did I do something wrong?" Leo repeated the phrase over and over, avoiding giving the requested information. The conversation escalated as Leo accused the officer of harassing him. "You're harassing me," he shouted. "No, I didn't harass you," the officer replied calmly. "You just need to give me your correct name." At that point, the atmosphere started to get chaotic. Leo looked restless and nervous, and even asked his friend to record the incident. Even though he had been told that everything was being recorded via body cam, the officer finally decided to arrest Leo for giving false information and for alleged active warrants. "Please put your hands behind your back," the officer ordered. Leo refused. "I haven't done anything wrong. Please, wait a minute. I haven't." The situation turned physical. The officer tried to handcuff Leo, who continued to resist and began to struggle. When resistance increased and orders were ignored, the officer finally used an electric shock device taser to incapacitate Leo for the safety of all parties. Leo fell to the ground, crying and saying, "What did I do? I'm sorry. I'm sorry." The officer checked his body and saw one probe from the taser stuck in Leo's back right arm. Immediate medical attention was requested. The medical team arrived to help remove the device safely. While crying, Leo continued to ask for forgiveness. "I can give you any information you need," he told the officer. "I don't want to go to the Marin County Jail. It's a horrible place."
Here, sit up so we can get... Sit just like that. How far she? She was in that yard with the camper, but she got tased.
However, the officer remained calm and said that the lie he had told was reason enough to detain him. "You lied to me. You know you have a warrant," he said as he helped Leo sit up. When asked if he had anything on him, Leo said no. He seemed resigned. His friend, who had been there but was not involved, had been allowed to leave after verification. "I love you guys," Leo said softly to his friend who had already left. "Please watch my room. I promise I will make things right."
And then when she got over here, get this, she told me her name was Tori Deneg. And I said, "No, you ain't Victoria Deneg, because she's last I knew she's still in jail." So,
Who's that?
This was her friend that she was walking with. I already ran her. Hey, you're good to go if you want to take off. No, leave them there. I got to take a picture of them.
I'm calling. Where are you going to go? Lake County?
She's going to Lake County and then she's going to go to Marion.
Well, you got a Marion warrant?
The officer then informed him that Leo would be taken to Marin County Jail because of the active warrant and for giving a false name to the officer. He was also charged with nonviolent resistance. Leo cried and said that he had worked for the BSO Broward Sheriff's Office before and knew how the system worked there. "I know exactly what it's like to be in there. It's better now. They say there's extra food in the cafeteria and it's not just for walls and a hard bed," he said softly, trying to find some comfort in his own fear. But the officer warned that if he didn't show up for court as requested, there would always be consequences. And today, those consequences came knocking. He also admitted that Leo had been evading for about 45 days, which could potentially reduce his sentence if the judge agreed.
Wait till you see the judge, and then I don't know how
I have 45 days in though.
You have to do a mandatory 45
I
days?
already have 45 days in.
So maybe they'll count that towards this. Maybe. But being on the run is not the option. Because stuff like, do you really want to walk around and gotta look over your shoulder every second?
No.
Yeah, they're right there. I don't really know.
Before he was put in the patrol car, Leo was checked again for injuries. Although he had been knocked down, there were no serious injuries other than a taser probe mark on his arm. He was still crying, but no longer fighting back. Leo tried to run, said another officer who had just arrived. But he only got one probe, so he didn't go down right away, but it was enough to stop him. Another officer added, he was lucky he didn't get hit by both. But it's better this way. He's stubborn, but not aggressive.
You know?
And then heat of the moment, we ain't got time to switch it.
Well, I thought I did.
Yeah, you gotta be far, far back.
You just got tased. I got the puller here to pull it out.
The arrest was completed after officers made sure everything was safe and a report was filed. Leo was finally taken into custody, charged with providing false identification to a law enforcement officer, resisting arrest without violence.
The officer proceeded to remove the taser probes from the suspect's right rear bicep.
What's that? This one? That's an empty one. This is what's stuck in her.
So where's the other one? Is it two?
It's right there. It's right here. It's just two. Sorry, have a seat on there.
Active warrant for previous offenses. This arrest is proof that evading legal responsibility only makes things worse. One act of lying paved the way for escalation, and in the end, the legal process continued according to procedure.
False name to a law enforcement officer, resisting without violence.
Houston gas station. Bravery amidst gunfire. On May 4th, an undercover operation by Houston Police Department HPD. Narcotics officers turned into a bloody mess at a Houston gas station. Traffic officers, J. Sally and McMary were in the same location monitoring the situation. During their surveillance, they spotted a suspicious vehicle, driven by a 23-year-old man named Jimmy Bryan. Their suspicions proved justified. When ordered to exit the vehicle, Bryan suddenly pulled out his gun and opened fire on the officers. One of the bullets hit Officer Sally in the lower body, seriously wounding him and knocking him out instantly. Without hesitation, the officers immediately returned fire, turning the scene into a tense battleground in the middle of a busy public area. The audio recording is filled with panic and tension. Officer Sally's screams as she reports being shot are followed by McMary's screams as she tries to locate her partner. "I'm shot! I'm shot!" Sally yelled over and over again. McMary, ignoring the danger, immediately tried to drag Sally to safety while screaming for a tourniquet. "We need a tourniquet now," he shouted, his voice shaking but still focused. Bryan was subdued after being hit by return fire. He was immediately secured and taken to the hospital with a gunshot wound. Meanwhile, Officer Sally was rushed to Memorial Hermann Southeast Hospital in critical condition. Fortunately, thanks to the quick response and bravery of her colleagues, her life was saved and she is now in stable condition. Jimmy Bryan is currently in custody and will face 2 counts of aggravated assault on a law enforcement officer. His case will be tried in the 338th District Court. This incident is a stark reminder of the great risks that police officers face every day, even in the course of routine duty. Officers G. Sally and M. McMary, who have both been with HPD since 2012, are now receiving awards and recognition for their extraordinary bravery. In the midst of chaos, they remained steadfast in their duty and demonstrated incredible dedication to protecting each other and the public. Their bravery that day not only saved each other's lives, but also demonstrated the true face of service and devotion.
I've been hit! I've been hit! I've been hit! I've been hit!
Sally was rushed to Memorial Hermann Southeast Hospital and is now stable. Bryan, also wounded, was hospitalized and remains in custody. He faces 2 counts of aggravated assault on a public servant in the 338th District Court. Officers Sally and McMary, who joined HPD in 2012, are being recognized for their...
Tensions rise as a woman is forced to confront police after assaulting an employee at a convenience store. From a casual comment taken too lightly to a physical confrontation that escalates, the decisions officers make will determine whether emotion is the driving force behind violence. Watch as her arrest, her struggle and her decisions lead to unexpected consequences. Stop manhandling, stop, sit down, you're going to get why, listen, you're going to get another charge. Manhandling. On June the 2nd, 2024, officers were present when a woman assaulted an employee at a grocery store. Get off of me, get off of me, do it. Stop, 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 relax, relax, relax. You're under arrest for battery. Stop. Stop, relax, can you get off? Relax, I'm kissing my pants. Awesome, she's not going anywhere. Relax, I can do it nicely. Get off of me, stop moving, and give me your hands. Stop, 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 you're going to get yourself in trouble. Stop, you don't all right, get yourself and sit down. You didn't even use your words. Stop kicking me or you going to get another charge. Stop, calm down, Melissa. Stop, just calm down, stop, move. Wrist, just calm down. All right, there you go. They hear what they have to say. I don't know what happened. Well, they didn't even want to say anything. Not that serious. Relax, relax, yeah, relax a little bit. All right, yeah, I'm going anywhere. Paid, are you her driver? Yeah. Hi. Calm down, there you go. Got to sit down. What was all that about? Yeah, what was all that about? Sit down, sit down, stop manhandling, stop, sit down, you're going to get, yo, listen, you're going to get another charge. Handing, relax, relax, see if you want some medic, get off of me and talk to me like a person. Sit down, I got her. You want the medics? Yeah, I do. Here, go talk to him, I got this. Can I have my other headphone, please? Can you help me put it away like I wanted to do in the first place? Give me your phone. Give me your phone. Come down, come your phone. Okay, take a deep breath. Okay, got you. Take a deep breath. Relax, you having a bad day? Listen to me, it's okay. You can have bad days, right? But you can't go around punching my face. I'm sick of the comments, man. I get it all day long because I'm a pretty girl and I'm sick of it. I mean, it's a blessing. How it though, I get it, take it back. Okay, relax. Okay, we going to figure this out. Okay, I don't like treating people like that. Okay, that's why I was trying to get you to calm down. Where are you staying? Do you have ID on you? Yeah. Can I go in there and grab it, please? So let's can't we? Can't be doing stuff like that. Okay, it's a little bit different in South Florida. I understand the comments and stuff like that, but now you know what they say, beauty is pain. What I On June 2nd, 2024, an incident occurred at a grocery store when a woman attacked an employee. The incident began with a misunderstood comment. A man passing by the area mentioned that the woman was very thirsty, which was taken as a lighthearted joke. However, the woman responded very aggressively, mistaking the comment for an insult. After the comment, the woman approached the man, and although it initially appeared that she was just joking, she eventually struck the man with a single punch using her right hand. The man sustained a small cut to his face. Seeing the incident, the police officers who were on the scene immediately attempted to calm the situation and detain the woman. However, the woman was uncooperative. She began to fight the officers by screaming and refusing to comply, even trying to break free from the police's grip. "Stop manhandling," she shouted, trying to break free. The officers warned her that if she continued to resist, she would be charged with additional charges of resisting an officer. However, the woman refused to calm down and continued to fight back, making the situation even more tense. The officer tried to talk to the woman to calm her down, but she continued to be uncooperative, kicking and screaming, making matters worse. Calm down," the officer said, trying to calm her down. But the woman was still unable to control herself, trying to fight back in every possible way. In the midst of the commotion, the officer asked if the man who was being attacked wanted to proceed with the legal process and if he wanted the woman arrested. Although the man initially did not want to go ahead with the charges, he realized that the woman would likely continue her violent behavior if there were no consequences. After several minutes of debate, the officer finally decided to take the woman to the police station. She was charged with battery and resisting arrest. That's what happens when you hit someone in front of the police and resist the officer. The officer said as he watched the woman continue to resist. The woman was then handcuffed and taken to a police vehicle. During the ride, she continued to complain about pain in her wrist and accused the officer of not knowing the proper procedure. The officer responded calmly, explaining that after such resistance, she would be taken through the legal process. This incident shows how a difference in interpretation of a comment can trigger a very emotional reaction and lead to much bigger actions. The woman, who initially responded to a joke, now has to face serious legal consequences. Meanwhile, the officers involved also have to deal with a tense situation and be reminded that resisting an officer will always result in additional charges.
I'm gonna take this off, okay?
You're gonna have to do it through. It's over top. It's not a clip.
Okay. So do I? Okay, I have to take it off like this.
You might have to undo one of them.
No. Handcuffs are not coming off. My wrist hurts because I was fighting with you, bro. Are you serious?
You didn't even use your words.
I don't have to use my words. Once we say you're going to jail, that's it. That's how it works.
You clearly don't know how to follow steps of procedure. And come in for one day. I have a story. It's like good for you. I'm so proud of you. Racism. I'm sure you're so proud of yourself that you can go home and masturbate about it later. Ooh, did I run? No, I didn't. Look at that.
Tommy!
Reunion at a forbidden address, Crystalline's narrative of detention. It was an ordinary morning in a quiet residential neighborhood. The sun was not yet high, and a spring breeze was blowing gently through the newly green trees. But in one of the houses that looked ordinary from the outside, a small violation of a legal decision was about to escalate into a confrontation full of emotion and chaos. Crystalline was sitting in the house, eating breakfast, still half awake, when there was a knock on the door. The knock was followed by a friendly but firm greeting from two police officers standing in the doorway. Hi, how are you doing?" asked one of the officers. Good, replied Crystalline in a casual tone. "Are you the only one home right now?" asked the officer again. "No, I'm with my mom," he answered quickly. The two of them briefly looked at each other, as if not wanting to immediately reveal the purpose of their visit. But then, in a more serious tone, one of the officers asked Crystalline to step outside for a moment, saying they just wanted to clear up a few things. It seemed like a casual conversation at first, an interaction that, on the surface, seemed harmless. But their intentions soon became clear. The officers told her that Crystalline's presence at the house violated the terms of her bail bond in a previous case. The address was where the victim of an ongoing case lived, and she was prohibited from being there. But here she was, back in the place she had been ordered to avoid. Crystalline looked confused. "Wait, how did you know I'm here?" she asked, her voice rising. "We were just doing our jobs," the officer replied curtly, trying to stay calm. When the officers told her they were going to arrest her for that violation, the situation changed dramatically. "What? No way. You can't do this," Crystalline said, her voice starting to fill with anger. The officers tried to talk her down, but when they moved in to handcuff her, she struggled. She refused to give up her hands, screamed, refused orders, and even scratched one of the officers who tried to restrain her. "Stop, don't do that. I can't breathe," she screamed as she struggled on the floor, trying to free herself. The officers, who were trained to deal with situations like this, tried to calm her down while maintaining procedure. But Crystalline continued to refuse to cooperate, and the arrest turned into an intense struggle. She swore, screamed, cursed, and used profanities on the law enforcement officers, who were now losing their patience. "You fing idiot, you motherfucker," she screamed as she was finally handcuffed and taken out of the house. After being taken into custody, Crystalline began complaining of shortness of breath and chest pain. The officers immediately called an ambulance to check on her. A few moments later, paramedics arrived on the scene. One of them tried to talk to her gently. "Cry, do you want us to take a look at you? Make sure you're okay."
The violation of your pretrial conditions. You're under arrest for battery of a police officer, and you're under arrest for resisting, okay?
Well,
Step on over here by the car.
battery for you?
You scratched me and you slapped her. That's battery.
Wow.
Just come over by the back of the car.
Hold on, put your hand behind. I'm going to double lock them so they don't tighten up on you, okay?
What are you doing this? What is this? I don't understand. Idiot, you arresting me for no reason.
Do you wanna sit down on the curb to wait for the fire department?
Yeah.
Might be a little more comfortable. We're gonna help you down, okay? Okay.
"I'm not stressed," she said quickly. But when questioned again, she admitted to feeling pain. After being examined in the ambulance, her condition was declared stable, although she continued to complain that she did not understand why she was being arrested. Amid the chaos, Crystalline insisted that she never knew she was not allowed to be in the house. "This is my place," she shouted as she was led to the police car. "I never heard that. I don't understand." A sergeant who arrived later tried to explain that the address was protected by law because it was the residence of the victim in Crystalline's case. Violation of this provision, as determined by the court, was the main reason for her arrest that day. After being calmed down, Crystalline was taken to the police station for further processing. Throughout the journey, she continued to question the basis for her arrest, repeating that she never knew about the prohibition. But the law does not always recognize ignorance as an excuse. Crystalline was then charged with 3 counts, violating the terms of her bail bond, resisting an officer, and a misdemeanor count of battery on a law enforcement officer. She remains innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. What seemed like a simple morning interaction became a complex portrait of the clash between legal ignorance, uncontrollable emotions, and the procedures required to follow by law enforcement. For most, it would be just another legal note to be filed. But for Crystalline, it may have been a moment that would last her lifetime, a morning that turned into a turning point. And for the officers who handled the case, it was just one more day when the law had to be upheld, even if not everyone was prepared for it.
My name is Eric. I'm the sergeant here on this shift. I just wanted to verify with you. Is anyone home inside your apartment? Your mom or son or anybody?
My mom's not there.
No one's home?
I don't know. My mom was there.
She was there?
Yeah, she was there, and she went outside.
Inside the police car, the engine growled softly as Crystalline sat in silence for a moment. Physically and emotionally exhausted, her face was flushed with anger, anxiety, and shame all mixed together. The handcuffs around her wrists felt cold and rough. She leaned back in her seat, her eyes staring blankly ahead. An officer sitting in front of her turned to her, trying to make conversation more calmly. "We'll explain everything at the office later. You deserve to know all the details." But Crystalline just shook her head slowly. "I don't understand. This doesn't make sense. I just woke up. I just wanted to eat. I didn't hurt anyone." The officers didn't reply. They knew this wasn't about intent. This was about the law, and the law makes no compromise on personal emotions. When they arrived at the police station, Crystalline was led into an interrogation room. She was helped to a seat, and the handcuffs were removed. A female officer approached her to check for additional injuries from the struggle. "We just want to make sure you're okay. If there's anything wrong, we'll note it down and take you to a medical facility if necessary," the officer said, gently but professionally. Crystalline was still emotional, but slowly began to realize that a legal process was underway. She began to ask more calmly, "So, what do you mean I can't go to that house? That's my house too. I lived there before all this happened." An investigator entered with a folder filled with documents. He opened the page, showing a copy of a court order stating that the address was now a no-go zone for the defendant, because the victim in the previous case still lived there. "This is a condition of the court when you were released on bail. We know you may not understand everything during the trial, but it's been noted down and you signed it," the investigator explained. Crystalline read the page with a frown. Her eyes moved quickly from one sentence to the next, as if hoping to find a loophole that could free her from this situation. But there was none. Time passed, She was given a drink of water and asked to wait for the administrative process. In another room, officers make a report. The detention was carried out for violation of bail conditions, accompanied by resistance and minor violence against officers. They also include documentation from the body cam that recorded the entire incident. On the other hand, a team begins to investigate Crystalline's background more deeply. They find previous records. The outside world continues as usual. Outside the police station, streetlights come on one by one. But for Crystalline, time seems to have stopped, freezing her in one spot, between an unfinished past and a future that is now threatened. We all make mistakes, but not understanding the legal consequences can make things worse. Don't let momentary emotions ruin your future. Understand your rights and responsibilities, and learn from every experience, even the painful ones.
Let me know so I can clarify.
I don't understand why you arresting me for. You don't even warrant of arrest.
Okay, so I told you it was for violation of being at your house, okay?
What do you mean being for my house? I don't understand. I never heard that shit. You know, it sounds like a weird. Really, seriously.
I understand.
You know, I don't understand this.
I understand. It's not up to me. It's up to the judge and the parameters that he set.
I never heard this before.
Night in Dallas, chronicle of an arrest. Night has fallen on the Dallas airport. Neon lights shimmer through the crowd, casting long shadows on the polished floor. Amid the hustle and bustle of passengers, a lone woman stands unsteadily. Her eyes are blank, her steps unsteady. A suitcase is toppled beside her, her belongings scattered, as if reflecting the chaos within her. Don't touch my stuff. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. The woman's voice is shrill, breaking through the night's din. Security guards approach, trying to speak calmly, but the situation is escalating. The woman stares at her with a mixture of anger, fear, and confusion. Do you want a charge of resisting arrest added to this right now? It's just a simple ticket. The officer scolded, but all attempts at peaceful coercion were fruitless. The woman resisted being touched, pushing the officer's arm away, and suddenly, a kick landed on one officer's leg. A small cheer erupted from the crowd of onlookers. Several people pulled out their phones, recording what was quickly turning from a minor infraction to a forced arrest. Let me go. My friend just died. I did nothing wrong. But the words were drowned out by the commotion. She was being held, forced to the ground with practiced, controlled technique. The sound of handcuffs clicked, loud and firm, locking her wrists behind her struggling body. I'm in this city. I don't know anyone. Why are you treating me like a murderer? The officers remained calm. They knew the procedure. They knew that anger and wailing were part of the job they had to deal with. Night after night, one of the officers tried to calm her down. We're just doing our job, ma'am. You can talk later. Now please calm down. But the woman did not give up. In the police car, she wailed, begged, even tried to rationalize her actions. I don't like being pressured. I don't like being restrained. I'm just angry. I kicked because I was scared. Because I felt cornered. She cried, then laughed, then cried again. Her emotions jumped around, uncontrollable. From behind the bars of the car, she shouted.
We're gonna add charges to it. You understand me? Stand up.
Assault to a peace officer. We're at 12 upper level.
You're gonna stay right there now. You went from a simple public intoxication to assault on a peace officer.
I tried to talk to her.
I have a funeral tomorrow. You guys don't understand. I have to go. The words hung in the air. They sounded more like the cries of a wounded soul than a rational defense. But the law does not recognize grief as an excuse to attack law enforcement officers. Procedure is procedure. He went from being drunk in public to assaulting officers. One of the officers told reporters at the scene, hours earlier, he was just someone trying to get through a rough night in a foreign city. But alcohol, unhealed grief, and mounting mental stress had brought him to his breaking point. On the recording, it was clear he felt like the whole world was against him. He didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. He was a good cop, right? What's your name? What's your name? He babbled, a mix of praise and paranoia. His body was taken into the detention center. A female officer checked on him. "Are you feeling sick?" the officer asked. "No. I don't know. Maybe. My leg got caught. But I didn't hurt you. I didn't want to hurt you," he stammered. The examination revealed high levels of alcohol consumption and possibly other substances in his bloodstream. The medics gave him standard care. The rest is notes, procedures, and formal reports. But this story isn't just about the law being enforced. It's about someone losing control, lost in panic and grief. About officers forced to choose between compassion and duty. About the public watching, recording, and judging from the small screens in their hands. "I didn't know you were in my house. You set me up. You made this up." The words came out like a mirror, reflecting how broken the world was in his mind at that moment. He wasn't fighting the law, perhaps, but fighting his own pain. But the law still recorded it: public drunkenness, resisting arrest, and assaulting an officer. 3 charges that eliminated the possibility of just a warning and going home that night. A few days later, at his first court appearance, he appeared with a weary face. Her once loose hair was now tied back in a messy bun. Her eyes were puffy, but now she was sober. "I shouldn't have fought back," she told her lawyer quietly. "But that night, I lost control. I lost everything." The night in Dallas would go on. People would come and go. But that night, one woman fell, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally, and the cold, well-trained legal system caught her, chronicling her story in reports, video evidence, and fast-spreading news stories. And like so many others, all that remains are the records, the news, and the reminder that in one night, lives can change in a matter of seconds.
Are you serious? Hey, I know you're looking through that. Can I at least have like one toke, one cigarette, something? Please? Something? Could I? Maybe? One? Dude, I don't do drugs. Like, I'm not one of those, like, literally, like, stop it. She's strong. I like her a lot. I literally have no reason to fight him. I don't like to be held down. I don't like to be restrained. And I resisted, and I kicked, and I fought back.
Spoke with the reporting party, so I don't need to contact you.
One cigarette, please. Oh, you're so mad. So mad. Good. You fucking shit. Good, stop. You. She didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. She didn't do anything wrong. She's just mad. And I love her. And she's great. And she did a good job. Yeah, she's a good cop. Alright. What's your name? Ow! What's your name? What's your name? Sorry. Hey, look at it. What's your name? What's your name? You kidding? Ow! Ow! Wait, no! Let's go. Dee, give me a cigarette. Stop. I did what she wanted.
She was charged with public intoxication, resisting law enforcement, and assaulting a police officer.
Hey, I have a funeral tomorrow. Can we talk about that? I have a funeral tomorrow. Alright.
That morning, the sky above Paris, SP looked clear, and the hustle and bustle of residents starting their activities had filled the streets. In the midst of this seemingly normal atmosphere, suddenly an incident occurred that changed everything. A man, with an almost cynical smile on his face, became the center of attention after carrying out a brave or perhaps reckless action against the police. Joyfully, one-on-one, the man faced a police officer who was about to question him on the side of Typist Street. Without hesitation, he kicked the officer until he almost fell backwards. The next second, he got on his motorbike and sped off, triggering a chase that shocked the area. The police immediately reported the incident via radio. Within minutes, the sound of sirens could be heard echoing along the route he was on. The man ignored warnings or signals to stop. At Raimundo Pereira de Magalhães, he instead increased his speed, zigzagging between cars and almost hitting a woman who was crossing the street. The officer who was chasing him tried to approach from the right side, but the man fought back again this time. He threw a punch at the officer from the motorbike, almost making the officer stagger. His actions became increasingly dangerous, not only for the officer, but also for the local residents, who began to panic seeing the chase in the middle of the morning traffic. His escape continued until he approached the shopping center area in the Villa Penteto area, not far from the main route connecting Paris and Freguesia. At a small bend near the traffic lights, his motorbike skidded after stepping on a puddle of water mixed with sand. He fell hard onto the asphalt. A thud was heard that made people around him turn their heads. However, he did not give up. With wounds on his arms and knees, he immediately got up and ran not into a small alley or narrow passageway, but towards the mall complex that had just opened that morning. People around the mall were shocked to see a man running with shortness of breath, chased by several police officers in full uniform. He managed to break through the automatic mall entrance, hitting visitors who had just arrived. Several visitors screamed, and the mall security officers also gave chase. The man ran towards the electronics store aisle, but his speed decreased. His breathing was ragged, and his body was unsteady. Officers eventually managed to surround him near the escalator area. He stopped, hunched over, trying to catch his breath. As the police approached, he stopped resisting. His hands were raised slowly, a sign of surrender. What began as a kick and a wild run that morning ended in the middle of the mall. The man was taken into custody and taken to the police station to face further legal proceedings. His courage may have overwhelmed the authorities, but in the end, the law spoke, and there was no place crowded or large enough to hide from responsibility.